Congratulations, young Padawan, on making the choice to play the oboe. The oboe is a challenging and fun instrument to play, and I think you're going to find that playing the oboe is a very rewarding experience. In this video, you'll find tips to help you learn how to set up the instrument correctly and how to take care of the reed, how to breathe correctly for playing a wind instrument, how to hold the oboe and where to put your fingers, how to make your first sounds on the reed and form your embouchure, or the shape of your lips on the reed, and how to play your first notes on the instrument. You'll also be able to find a summary of this lesson and additional practice examples on my website at www.obowan.com. Best of luck on your journey to become an oboe master. The first thing you'll need to do when setting up your instrument is soak the reed. Let's take a look at the reed before we wet it. You'll notice that your reed is made of two pieces of cane that are tied together with a string. If you look at the very tip of the reed, there should be a little oval-shaped opening between the two pieces of wood. At the bottom of your reed is the cork. Reeds are very delicate and will break easily. Oboe reeds are also kind of expensive, so we want to be really careful with how we handle them so they don't break. I recommend you purchase handmade reeds from a local oboist rather than buying them from a store. Most advanced oboists make their own reeds, and a lot of times they'll make extra reeds and sell them to students like you. Generally, handmade reeds will be much better quality than store-bought reeds. Okay, to soak the reed, get a small cup and fill it with about 1 inch of water. I'm using a little salad dressing container for my reed. Put the reed in the water up to the string. Try not to get the string or the cork wet, just the wood cane part of the reed. Your reed will need to soak for about 2.5 to 3 minutes, so we'll leave it in the water while we set up the rest of the instrument. It's important to submerge the reed like this instead of just wetting it with our mouth the way you would with a clarinet or a saxophone reed, because oboe reeds are double reeds, which means they have two pieces of wood, and we have to get the water in between both pieces of wood. When we submerge it, we're getting the entire reed wet and making sure that it's getting evenly soaked. To set up the instrument while our reed is soaking, first you're going to need to open your case. Be careful when you open your case that it is right side up so you don't spill your instrument on the floor. Okay, so let's look at the parts of our oboe. Here we have the bell. Here's the lower joint. And here's the upper joint. On the upper and lower joint, do you see that there are some metal keys that stick off the end? Some of them are pinky keys, and some of them are what's called bridge keys. When we put the oboe together, we have to be careful not to bend those and to make sure that the bridge keys line up correctly. You'll also see that on some of the ends of the pieces, there are corks where the oboe connects. We need to make sure these corks are greased before we assemble our oboe, or else the pieces could get stuck together or the corks could tear. Let's take our cork grease and grease all the corks. We're going to put a dab of grease on each cork and rub it around with our fingers. If there's extra, we're going to rub it off with a paper towel or a tissue. I'm also going to grease the cork that's on the end of my reed. Okay, now that we've greased the corks, we can put the whole instrument together. Start by taking the bell of the oboe in your right hand. If you have a key on the bell, you're going to want to put your right thumb on the key to hold the bridge mechanism out of the way. I don't have a key on mine. Then you take the lower joint in your left hand. Be careful not to push any of the keys down while you're putting the pieces together. Gently push the lower joint onto the bell and line up the bridge mechanism if you have one. Next, we're going to take the upper joint in our right and hold it in our left hand. Try not to push the keys on the bell and lower joint, and you're going to gently push the upper joint onto the lower joint. And you can see how I'm holding here and here so that I'm not grabbing the keys and bending things. And again, you're going to want to make sure that the bridge mechanisms on the back of the upper and lower joint line up. Now we can take the reed, which has been soaking this whole time, and we can push it gently into the top of the oboe. You want to make sure that you hold the reed by the string or the cork, not by the cane, so that it doesn't break. So hold it down here. Line up the reed so that the flat part is level with the keys on the front of the oboe. Make sure you push the reed all the way into the receiver. And there it is, an assembled oboe. Just a note, when it's time to put the oboe away, always take the reed off first to protect it. In band rehearsal, you can also take the reed off if you have a long rest or if your teacher's working with another section, and you can either put it in your water cup or in your mouth to keep it safe. When you put the oboe away, you also have to be careful not to bend any of the keys, especially the bridge keys and the pinky keys that stick out. Don't twist the pieces apart like that. Just pull and wiggle gently and they'll come apart. You'll also need to look at the shape of your case to figure out where each piece fits. It can help especially if you look for an indent in your case where the thumb rest goes. Really important, if your case doesn't close after you put your oboe away, don't force it. That usually means something's not right and you'll break your instrument. Try adjusting the pieces and settling them in to see if it closes better. You might have something in the wrong place, or you just might have it sitting up and not settled in properly. Breathing to play a wind instrument is different from regular breathing. When we play a wind instrument, we want to try and avoid tension when we breathe, to avoid tension in our sound. In addition, we need to be able to hold our breath for long phrases in the music. Part of avoiding tension means sitting or standing with good posture. When you're sitting, you want to sit towards the front of your seat and keep your back off the chair. This should position your legs in a comfortable, relaxed spot in front of you and help you keep your back straight. No slouching. Slouching collapses your abdomen and makes it hard to breathe. Try this exercise. Breathe in for 4 counts and hiss for 4 counts. Put your hand on your stomach and see if you can feel it moving out to make room for the air while you're breathing in and your lungs are expanding, and moving back in when you're hissing. Try to avoid tensing up your shoulders. This will actually restrict your airflow. Let's practice this exercise together. Ready? And in, 2, 3, 4. Something else to know about breathing. When you're playing the oboe, there will be a lot of back pressure from the instrument. So while you need to have good air support to get a good sound, you will often have extra air at the end of a phrase. Oboists need to practice breathing out the stale air and then breathing in fresh air in between each phrase. See the basic techniques page on oboewand.com when you're ready to practice this skill. Let's take the reed back off the oboe and soak it while we do this next part. Now you're ready to learn how to hold the oboe and where to put your fingers. First, make sure your left hand is on the top and your right hand is on the bottom. If you've ever played recorder, it's the same way. On your left hand, we're going to call these fingers 1, 2, and 3. And they're going to go right here on the 3 keys that have holes in them. Your pinky is going to hover over these keys, kind of like a spaceship hovers over a planet. Your thumb will rest on the back of the instrument, right underneath where the octave key is. On your right hand, we're going to call these fingers 4, 5, and 6. And they're going to go here, here, and here. And your pinky is going to hover over these keys on the bottom. Your right thumb should be under the thumb rest, but try not to stick it out so far that it's hard for your fingers to reach. Keep it further towards your fingernail. Let's practice wiggling our fingers on the keys. Start by putting all 6 fingers down. Then, let's try wiggling finger 4. Now wiggle finger 1. Now finger 6. Finger 2. Try lifting fingers 4, 5, and 6 and keeping fingers 1, 2, and 3 down. Good. Now wiggle finger 3. Great job! Okay, let's try to get a sound on our reed. In order to get a good sound, we need to start with a good embouchure, or the shape of our lips and mouth while we play. Generally, the shape of the embouchure for oboe should almost be the same as when we say the words no oboe, so it's kind of rounded. To start, you're going to hold your reed by the by the string or the cork and lay it on your lower lip, kind of like your lip is the cushion. Next, you're going to round the corners of your lips like you're saying ooh. Then drop your jaw like you're saying oh and take a breath. Last, cover your bottom and top teeth with your lips so they don't touch the reed. Now blow. You should be able to play a high B or C on your reed. Things to remember to help you get a good sound. Remember to have equal pressure from all sides of your lips. Keep your teeth apart and open while you play, no biting. The corners of your mouth should be forward and rounded. Only about 1/3 of the reed goes in your mouth. Most people put too much of the reed in their mouth at first. Also, your bottom lip should be a cushion for the reed, not too firm and not too soft. Also, you need to keep space inside your mouth. Think about when you eat something that's too hot and you're trying to cool it off, or when you yawn with your mouth closed. Okay, now let's try playing some patterns on just the reed. Make sure to tongue in between each note of the pattern by touching the tip of your tongue to the reed. We're going to use a metronome that I'm going to start using the force. Echo me. Great job. Excellent. Now we're going to try a technique called crowing on the reed. The goal of this exercise is to get two notes, a low C and a high C, to sound at the same time. Before we do this exercise, I want you to know that this is just an exercise to develop your embouchure. You're not actually going to play the reed this way when you're trying to play the oboe. This exercise will help you develop a nice sound and is also a good way to check if your reed is working properly. First, lay the tip of the reed on your bottom lip where the wet, dry line is. Then roll your lip in slightly so about 1/8 of the inch of the reed is in your mouth. Cushion the top of the reed with your top lip. Then blow. See if you can get both notes in the crow to sound like this. So you can hear both the low note and the high note. This will feel like you're putting too much of the reed in your mouth, which you are. Here are some possible problems you might encounter when crowing the reed. First, if you only get the high sound, you might be biting or pinching the reed too tight. Try saying "oh" to separate your teeth or soften your lips. Second, if you only get the low note, try rolling in your bottom lip a little more or firming the corners of your mouth a little. If you only get rushing air, try rolling in your bottom lip and firming the corners of your mouth. Also make sure that you're using enough air and supporting your air. And last, if your crow doesn't speak at all, or if it's just a high sound or a squeak, you're probably biting or tightening your lips too much. Try saying "oh" or softening your lips like a cushion more and rounding them into a circle. Try practicing this a few times at home on your own and then go to the next part of the video. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. It's time to try making a sound on the whole oboe. Push the reed all the way into the receiver. Let's not use any keys for this first note. We'll just hold the thumb rest. Now here comes the tricky part. Sit up straight and bring the oboe to you. Do not lean forward or reach for the oboe. We're going to use the same 4 steps we used to make a sound on just the reed. First, put the reed on your lower lip like a cushion. Then say "ooh" and round the corners of your mouth. Then drop your jaw like you're saying "oh" and take a breath. Then cover your top and bottom teeth with your lips. And last, blow. Excellent. Now let's play some notes. I'll play some patterns and you can echo them back at home. I'll say which finger numbers I'm going to use so that you can see which keys to press. First, we'll just do the first finger on the first key. Now we're going to do just one and then add the second finger. Now let's do one, add second, and add third. Now we're going to add the fourth finger this time. Keep going. We'll add one more finger and add finger number 5. And let's do that last finger. We'll add finger 6. Great job! If you're having any trouble, here are some things you can do to try and get a better sound. You can practice reforming the embouchure by following the 4 steps that we've done a bunch of times so it becomes muscle memory. You could try firming your lips or softening your lips to see how that changes the sound. You're going to want to find the perfect balance for the best sound possible. You could try putting less reed in your mouth. You could make sure that you're putting equal pressure from your lips from all sides of the reed. You could make sure you're keeping space inside your mouth, kind of like you're yawning with your mouth closed. You could keep your teeth further apart and make sure you don't bite on the reed. You could also try adjusting the angle of the oboe to your body. The oboe should be at about a 45-degree angle, not as close as a clarinet, but not out like a trumpet either. And make sure your finger pads, not your fingertips, so the pads, not the tips, are covering the holes and pressing the keys correctly. This will make sure that the keys seal properly and that you're not pushing any extra buttons when you're wiggling your fingers. You could try practicing in front of a mirror. That sometimes helps you see what you're doing with your embouchure and with your posture. Okay, let's do some finger wiggles. Echo me. I'm going to start with just the first finger to the second finger, which is B to A. Now let's go second finger to third finger, A to G. Nice. G to F sharp, we're going to add that next finger down. Then F sharp to E. Here's the tough one, E to D. Good. Let's go back and do that first one, B to A again. All right, now let's do 3 notes. We're going to go B, A, G, A, B, down and back up. Good. Let's add one more finger and we'll go down to F sharp. Add one more finger to go down to low E. And last one, all the way down to low D and back up. Great job! Once you've mastered this, you should be ready to move on to the basic exercises page on oboewand.com. You're doing great, but remember, you're going to have patience like a Jedi.